Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, hope you've all been doing well. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the Vigor GK60 mechanical gaming keyboard from MSI. I ended up grabbing this keyboard from one of my local computer hardware stores as I had never owned a mechanical keyboard with red switches, and I was curious about what the experience would be like. The other reason was that it was on sale for a great deal, which I'll talk more about later in this video. To start off, let's do a quick unboxing. I think that packaging and what comes inside the box, along with the product, are important things to consider when purchasing any peripheral. The box that it comes in has a picture of the keyboard on the front, and on the back side of the box we have some information in regards to specifications and features that this keyboard has. So it's a nice informative box that tells you beforehand what you can expect. Opening the box, and we see the keyboard is surrounded by some nice, decently thick and robust foam to protect the board from shipping damages, impacts, etc. Along with that, you get a starter guide / manual, WASD keycaps, and a keycap remover, so that's convenient in case you ever need to remove the keycaps themselves to do thorough cleaning, or you're replacing them with something else. And that's pretty much it as far as the packaging and unboxing go. The product comes conveniently packaged, and it gets the job done. Moving on to the keyboard itself, first impressions in regards to appearance, I must say I was really liking what I saw. The GK60 has a very sleek looking and low footprint design compared to other full-size keyboards I've used in the past. My Logitech G710 Plus makes this keyboard look quite small when looking at the two side by side. The GK60 has a width of 44 cm and a length of 134 cm and is 4.2 cm thick. I do appreciate the smaller form factor, as area management on a desk shouldn't be an issue at all for most people. However, let's not ignore the fact the reason why it's so small is because there's an absent wrist rest there. The keyboard didn't come with one, and I was so used to the wrist rest on my G710 Plus that the lack of a wrist rest support was one of the first things I immediately noticed while using the keyboard, and to be honest, I was kind of annoyed by it. It took a little while to get used to. Visually, the keyboard looks quite attractive. The frame of the keyboard has this brushed aluminum style look going for it, which looks elegantly pleasing and just adds so much more to the overall appearance of the keyboard. It definitely grabs your attention, but not in any bad way. Considering these days most keyboards are just plastered with colorful plastic accents and RGB, and the manufacturers then call it a day. The base, however, is plastic but feels very solid to the touch, and doesn't really feel cheap in any way. Overall, the keyboard has a very sturdy and robust build. There was hardly any flex at all to the frame or body. The keycaps are all black, except the WASD keys come pre-installed with these heightened silver metal keycaps with deeper grooves to prevent accidental rollover, which is nice, especially if you play a lot of fast-paced games that may require a lot of rapid twitch movement. They are half plastic and half metal, and at first they were kind of throwing me off a little bit. It did take me a little while to get used to them. After that though, I totally realized that having the WASD keys with these keycaps on did help me become more accurate with my inputs. It's not just advantageous for first-person shooters, but also with MMOs like ESO that require tons of inputs from the player at a quick pace. The keycaps do have a fancier font to appeal to the gamery market. However, it's not something that's over the top or anything like that. It's nowhere near as bad as that horrendous font that was on the Team Wolf keyboard I reviewed a few years back. Turning the keyboard around, there were some things I wanted to point out. There are 4 rubber pads located in each corner of the keyboard, and the flip kick feet are also rubberized, which therefore prevents the keyboard from moving and allows it to stay in one spot, so it's great for stability. They also provide a decent amount of elevation at an acceptable angle, which makes the operation of the keyboard very comfortable. I'm someone who uses my keyboard at an angle elevation, and this keyboard has it just right. They also included a thick rubber pad right underneath the spacebar to reduce noise, prevent accidental slip, and to absorb aggressive impacts if you type or press keys with a lot of force while gaming. I also really appreciate how the middle portion was indented inwards, so there would be a gap at the bottom to route cables for a headset or a controller. Rather than having to deal with routing cables around the keyboard, you can easily just manage them from underneath. The GK60's cable isn't braided, which is unfortunate, as braided cables are sturdier than the rubber-coated cables. The good thing though is that the cable was very long. At 2 meters in length, you shouldn't have any trouble with cable management, and the connector is gold-plated. In terms of features that this keyboard has to offer, there's not a whole lot to say. The main attraction of the keyboard was to bring genuine Cherry MX red switches to a larger consumer base without really hurting your wallet. Or so, that's what I thought. Now, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with mechanical keyboards and Cherry MX switches, so there really is no need for an introduction or lengthy description. Basically, they're linear travel path switches that don't have that tactile bump, which only require about 45 grams of force to actuate the red switch. Red switches are considered to be one of the best switches for gaming because of their fast travel path. At first, I thought I wouldn't really like Cherry MX red switches because of the way they're described. It kind of makes it seem like they wouldn't be all that much different from your traditional membrane keyboard. But it wasn't until I actually tried them out where I felt like these switches would be wonderful for gaming. Just being able to press down a key without much force and actuate the switch allows for quick inputs, so you can ensure you'll be able to stay on top of whatever move you want to pull off, whether it's quickly buffing up your character and throwing down a spell, or being able to quickly switch to a different weapon in your inventory. Whatever the case may be, I would agree that with the notion that red switches do provide more benefit to the user in a gaming scenario. My typing experience was also pretty good, although I would still prefer browns or blues in that matter, if I was a typing enthusiast though. The keycaps themselves are acceptable for pretty much any scenario that you'll use this keyboard for, but they're also not the best quality keycaps I've seen either. The plastic isn't the sturdiest. MSI uses thin ABS plastic, so I guess we'll have to see how long they'll last before they show any signs of wear. On the other hand though, they do feel very smooth and are pretty comfortable to use. But adding on to what I said earlier about this keyboard lacking features, in terms of illumination, the keyboard comes with only red backlighting and no RGB, which I actually prefer, but if you did want RGB, you'll have to step up to the more expensive GK80 model. You can, however, set different lighting patterns. Lighting patterns include a static mode, more in depth with the patterns by controlling the effect speed, direction, and the intensity of the illumination, all from the keyboard itself. If you did, however, want some kind of software, you can also check out MSI's Gaming Center software. It seems like a pretty intuitive and straightforward application that's pretty user-friendly. But I didn't bother downloading it for this keyboard, since it's not really required due to the lack of features. This keyboard doesn't have any sort of dedicated media control buttons, so you'll have to use the function key plus another key. I would have liked to see a little volume knob in the corner at the very least. Adding to the list of missing features is the fact that this keyboard doesn't come with any macro buttons either, which can be useful depending on what kind of games you play. All in all, the MSI Vigor GK60 is a great mechanical gaming keyboard if you don't care about RGB lighting, media controls, and macros. The keyboard has excellent build quality and offers you all the positives that Cherry MX Reds bring to the table. Do I recommend it? Well, it depends on what price you can find it for. I got mine for 50 Canadian dollars plus taxes, of course, which I thought was an absolute steal for this keyboard. And if you can find it for around this price, I definitely recommend checking it out. However, since then, the price has gone up dramatically. On most US retailers, the keyboard is going for around $100, and on the Canadian market, it's $150, which makes me believe that the price I found was probably an error. At those price points, I just can't recommend this keyboard. Since at that range, when there are other keyboards for around the same price that offer the same features plus a lot more, it really makes it hard to recommend. If you guys found this video to be enjoyable and informative, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down below. Check out the video description for my other videos and ways to support the channel. And if you're interested in buying this keyboard, check out the links down below. Also, if you want to see more content like this, then make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.